Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House by Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes. Chapter 1 The Quiet Part Out Loud. The sun had just set when Nancy Pelosi settled onto the living room couch in her seven-figure Georgetown condo overlooking the Kennedy Center and the Potomac River. The former House Speaker, still in perpetual motion, at 84, fixed her wide brown eyes on a rarely used television screen. If not for the vanishing supply of chocolate ice cream in the freezer and the quick naps she caught between busy days, there was usually little evidence that anyone lived in her posh Washington crash pad at all. But this night, June 27, 2024, was different from all other nights. The television was on. She wanted to watch President Joe Biden debate for former President Donald Trump without distraction, with a clear and focused mind. For that, Nancy Pelosi needed to be alone. Months earlier, she had urged Biden, a friend of 4 decades, not to line up toe-to-toe with Trump. At the time, the president, First Lady Jill Biden, and a handful of top White House officials were in the midst of internal discussions about whether to debate. At one point, Anita Dunn, the president's senior advisor for communications, thought that Trump's decision to skip Republican primary debates might provide enough political cover for Biden to sidestep him. The idea betrayed concern that debates might not go well for Biden. He asked his aides to consider the pros and cons. "We just didn't feel like we could get out of it," said one top Biden advisor. "If we didn't debate, it would have added to the narrative that the president was hiding from the people." Biden worried that Trump wouldn't debate on the level, but he would love the prospect of fight. He was sure he would win. Some outside allies, aware of the internal talks, weighed in with White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients and other senior Biden White House aides to warn against debating Trump. Pelosi took her concerns directly to Biden. "I know you can beat him," Pelosi said, playing to Biden's ego before leaning in on the notion that he should not lower himself by sharing a camera frame with Trump. "You just can't go on stage with him." Of the millions of voters who loathed Trump, none found him more repulsive than Pelosi. Her House impeached him twice, once with a handful of Republican votes after his supporters sacked the U.S. Capitol in a violent but vain attempt to stop the certification of his 2020 defeat. Trump had mocked her husband, Paul Pelosi, when an intruder bashed his head in with a hammer. She told Biden he should not dignify Trump by granting the equal footing of a presidential debate. Trump's affinity for rolling around in the mud would make it impossible for Biden to emerge unsolid. She told the president. Trump's smell would spread to him, she thought. Biden disagreed. "No," he said. "I should go." In early March, a solid performance at the State of the Union boosted Biden's confidence. After the address to Congress, he gave Pelosi an update. "I'm going," he told her. "We're setting the terms. He isn't resigned in debating Trump," Pelosi thought. "He's really eager to do it. As long as the State of the Union, Joe Biden comes out," she replied to the president, "it will be great." In between roll calls, votes on the House floor, several hours before the debate, lawmakers confessed their fears of a Trump romp to Pelosi. Biden did not look sharp, Some suspected that his limited contact with them and avoidance of the media suggested an even steeper decline. Others echoed the theory that Trump would bully and bluster his way to a victory that night. White House officials had tried to calm skeptics in private conversations, explaining their view that the debate was a necessary part of the presidential campaign process, that Biden would rise to the occasion, and that the contrast with Trump would be clear and convincing. Pelosi deployed some of the same arguments to reassure worried colleagues, but she privately harbored concern about risk of resting the fate of the party and the country on the spectacle of a side-by-side of Biden and Trump, which was why she needed to watch by herself, in that she wasn't alone. Jim Clyburn, the 83-year-old former House Majority Whip, turned down nearly a dozen invitations to join friends that night, including one from the Congressional Black Caucus, which he had once chaired. He attributed his apprehensiveness to the gut instinct acquired from a lifetime in politics. If it doesn't go well, he thought, I don't want anyone to see me cry. He sequestered at his Washington condo, mixing Diet Pepsi into a glass of Jack Daniels before he settled in. Maybe that would settle his nerves. Maybe. Dunn, the grand dame of Beltway Public Relations, looked her blue eyes on a video conference from her Washington home. She had helped run Biden's prep session that week at Camp David. But instead of flying to the Atlanta debate with him and the rest of the campaign brain trust, she had driven back to the nation's capital. In private White House deliberations, her counsel had evolved. At first, she entertained the idea of sticking a knife in presidential debates altogether. Once it was clear that Biden would not run from a fight, she argued successfully for an early first debate date. A big win might shake up the status race in which Trump held a small but stubborn lead. If things went sideways, as they often did for incumbents, in the first debate of their reelection campaigns, it would give Biden more time to recover. Biden, the rest of his inner circle, agreed with her reasoning. Now, Dunn homed in on screen, showing campaign poster David Binder leading a small set of swing state voters in a focus group. This way, she would be able to monitor the voters' reaction to the candidates in real time, measured by dials they use to rate response. Dunn believed Biden had not practiced enough, but she soothed herself with the hopeful, perhaps revisionist, thought that he had a history of overperforming at crucial moments. Maybe he could dig down one more time to find a little Biden magic. Maybe. In a luxury condo on the east side of Manhattan, a few blocks from his favorite cigar lounge, Reverend Al Sharpton held his expectations in check. The once chubby, radical activist now had a sleek frame and confirmed status in the political establishment. He had long since traded in track suits for three-piece suits. He counted presidents, including Biden, as friends, and he had become a fixture on MSNBC. Though his own presidential ambitions had fallen well short, he was an astute observer of political talent. Joe can hold his own, Sharpton thought, as the 0 hour neared, but he is not a knockout punch debater. Perhaps the rules, particularly one silencing the microphone of the candidate who wasn't speaking, would cut to Biden's benefit and frustrate the interjection happy Trump. Maybe. Inside the Ponce Inlet, Florida home just south of Daytona Beach on the Atlantic coast. Demographic megadonor John Morgan drizzled butter into a deep bucket of fresh popcorn while pre-game debate punditry droned in the background. Feeling a thrill of excitement, the nation's most prominent personal injury lawyer treated himself by pouring a full calorie Coke over ice. Biden's going to mop the floor with Trump, he thought, mopping a few kernels, popping a few kernels into his mouth as CNN co-moderator Jake Tapper and Dana Bash appeared on his screen to introduce the candidates. Okay, cousins, that is the first 10 minutes of Fight Chapter 1. So that's about half of Chapter 1. I'm not going to read for more than 10 minutes because I don't want these videos to be too long. And these chapters are long. Like this chapter, my God, this is a long chapter. This chapter is like over 20 pages. So I can't read it all at one time. But I'm going to just do maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So you let me know how the first 10 minutes sound. What do you think of this book, Fight? Did you read it? This is allegedly Janice, the backup channel for Janice Hilton channel. So be sure to comment below. Leave a comment for me. If you're new here, my name is Janice. Be sure to subscribe. This is the political channel. So I would love to hear your thoughts. And the link is below. If you want to get this book, please get it through my link. All right, cousins. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.